Let's just make the goddamn video already.
Now, let's draw paperwork.
Welcome back to how to make a DSaF Fangame. We're gonna go through the list. I've got a list, and I got some things that I want to talk about in this video. The fun stuff is gonna be for next part, I think. Let me actually check. Yeah, the fun begins. Yes. So right now is gonna be like battles and like the general consensus of like making your game work and shit. So right now we're in the original DSaF Freddy's just project file. We're gonna be talking about how they do the time system because that's like the most question that's asked. I said that really weird. That's like the most asked question. How do I make a time system? So I'm gonna go through it for you right now, just explain it all. By the way, you can find all of the DSaF Freddy's like decrypts in the description, all by me. Because I really wanted to make a fan game. So right now we're looking at the common events. I probably haven't talked about common events yet. I totally forgot if I did. If I didn't, we're gonna get to them later in this video. And we're gonna look at clock music box update. So first, it shows the picture of just the time base, like the time, date, day, whatever. That's the first thing you need to initialize. If that's not there, it's gonna look weird. And we need to put it on a high picture number. If somebody has the same picture number as the base, it'll overwrite the base and the base will just go away. Next, we're gonna be talking about the day variable. This variable is to determine what day you're on. And usually that's determined at the beginning of the game, at the start of a next day, whatever. So if we go to here, we can see it's set to number 23, which is Monday. Then it can go to 24, 25, 26, 27, etc. Okay, I explained this really poorly, so I'm gonna redo it, and it'll be way better. So I'm gonna use the dining room as an example for how the hour system works. The way the hours work is they're in increments of 15, or 30, or 45. It depends on how long a task takes to do. Like if you search around in the dining area in the original DSaF Freddy's, it takes 30 minutes. So let's search around the place, look at the timer, boom, it changed to 12:30. If we do it again, it reaches an hour. And I put up on screen what the hour counter is at right now, and it'll make sense. Right now the hour counter is at 60, and when 60 arrives, that means it's turned into 1. And when it hits 360, which is 6 p.m., it'll play this automatically and stop everything from happening. The way it knows to update it is to do another complement doing plus 30, which does just this string. It basically just adds 30 from the variable, and then it updates the clock. If that hour variable reaches over 360 or just at 360, it'll immediately display 6. Now we're going to talk about how to go from one place to another in a movement screen. So the easiest way I found out to do it was not to use DSaF Freddy's format, because that uses picture common events and you have to like click them and you have to like assign pictures and stuff, blah blah blah, that take like way longer than it needed to. So I'm doing just the easiest way I know how. I'm using my fan game DSaF Freddy's Luxembourg location because I found it to be the easiest way. We're gonna ignore everything from this. We're just gonna show you how to go from one place to another. You have your choices to decide where you want to go. You want to know where to even send it to. So let's say we're going from our movement screen to the arcade. It'll fade out the screen, then it'll do another common event to clear all images. And what this does is it basically just clears every image in the categories that they're in. That'll prevent it from overwriting any images or leaving any images on screen that weren't supposed to be there. Then it'll transfer the player to the set location, and then it'll break the loop from where it wants to be. Most of the time, you've got to do a self switch. In that case, enable like a self switch A. Or you could do a regular switch if you want. But that switch will forever be on, and you've got to turn it off eventually. So you've enabled your self switch, we got to click new event page. After you do that, boom, new event page is here. Now we turn on the self switch condition, and then we do a parallel event. You can do parallel auto run, I don't give a shit. Transfer player to the dining area, like that. Let's go to the dining area, and it works perfectly fine. Now remember when I said what common events are, and I said we'll talk about them later? That later is now. Let's say DSaF Freddy's for an example. Now in every single one of these, there's a random event, and that's tied to a common event. So we're gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone here.
Metal, shut the fuck up.
So a random event is always tied to a common event, because if it's not, your code's gonna look fucking ugly. What a common event is an event that'll happen commonly. That's literally the simplest way to put it. And a common event is exactly you could do in every single one of these events. For this instance, it's random events. So let's say you have a pool from 0 to 25. Let's say you land on 7, but you're looking for a number like 1. If it lands on 1, then it'll play a random event. Since it rolled on 7, it's gonna play nothing, because nothing happened, it didn't roll on the number, no random event. But let's say you did roll on 1. Then you gotta play your random events. Now the way DSaF Decrypts does this is it does the exact same thing I just said. And whenever it lands on that random event, it'll do another roll to determine which random event you got, which is also random. So we're gonna go to control variable, we're gonna go to variable 41, boom, random events. And you might just think we're done. No. Do you see that random button? You're gonna want to turn that shit on. So let's say you want a 1 in like 49 chance. You do 1 on one side, 49 on the other. Really simple, really easy. And then how do we check for that random variable? Well, we're going to use a conditional branch. So we're going to go to here, we're going to go to page 1, we're going to do conditional branch right here. Then we're going to switch it on from switch to variable, and then we're just going to find our random event, and we're going to check if that variable has hit the number that we want. In this instance, we want to know if it's hit the number 1. I actually just lost my train of thought. What the fuck happened? Now, I'm not going to go into this one very in-depth, but we're going to talk about searching and your coins. Now, searching is a really complicated topic, so I'm going to try and explain this the most clearest way that I know how. So you know how we just talked about random variables? We're going to do that again, but for searching. So you're going to have a conditional branch to see your max amount of money that you can get from searching. In this instance, is less than or equal to 50. So let's say you rolled a 0. That means you found nothing. But if you rolled from 1 to 50, then you got something. That variable is then shown and then added to your gold, which is set right there. But if you rolled anything higher than a 50, then you found nothing as well. Now let's search around the place, let's see what roll we get. Alright, we've hit either a number of 0 or a number above 50. Now let's search again, and you'll be able to see that we got 39. So that means our search value equaled 39. That means it'll give us the 39 tokens, it'll display 39 in the text box as well. Alright, now we're going to talk about parallel events and screen effects, but before we do that, let's have a little demonstration with a little customer. Oh shit!
I'm an evil ass baby, look at me, I'm in your fucking restaurant, baby.
Oh shit! It's evil ass baby. That's really bad. But thankfully, he's showing us what we're talking about. So right there, you saw a flash and a screen shake. And let's show you how to do that. So we're gonna go to the event page 2, and on the screen effects, where we did the fade out and fade in, we have all these kinds of shits. So flash screen, basically boom, it flashes you, it flashbangs you. And you can change the color of this, you can make it like neon green, you can make it like blue, you can make it like slightly like transparent, whatever. Shake screen over here is right underneath flash screen. You can control the power of it, the speed of it. I always have like minimal power because really big power makes it look really ugly, just in my opinion. And then it has the same stuff as the other thing. Tint screen, you can change it to a really bright color if you want. You can change it to whatever you want. And then you saw our fire. Now, our fire wasn't really good. All you need to know is that it had a blend mode on it, and what those blend modes are right here. We had the additive one. You could kind of see it. It was kind of transparent, and it was kind of lighting up the room. Let's change it to multiply, and let's show you how that looks. And then you can see it. It's kind of blended into the background. Alright, and that concludes your part 2. Alright, are you happy? Are you fucking happy now? Sorry this took so long. I have actually been putting it off, and I've been really busy. Thankfully, it's over, it's gone, it's done, whatever. This one was really sloppy. It doesn't matter. I don't fucking care.